Hello, poor people. How are you today? Very recently, something came up in my private network that led to an uprising, complete banter. My friend, who owns a gas station, made a very shocking statement. He said he allows his staff to steal a little bit so that they are incentivized to keep working, but it doesn't let them steal a lot because then he's making no profit. So the real question was, should you let your staff steal? And my take would be the nucleus of this discussion. So my friend XYZ gave his own points, the other people gave their own point. Very interesting points, interesting purviews, phenomenal individuals. But my take was, you should always optimize for the retaining price. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Optimizing for the retaining price is a place where the individual records the transaction but pockets the difference. The head of my construction company brokered the sale worth a lot of materials, and he recorded the retaining price or the asking price and took the difference. The point I'm trying to highlight with that is the first thing you need to do is to optimize for the retaining price. And once that's the norm, once it's acceptable, once that's the mindset of every single person in the company, you can take it one level up to total security. You should always optimize for retaining price before you move up, as opposed to nothing, which is just theft blatantly. Imagine if you brokered that sale and recorded nothing. That's far worse than pocketing the difference. Now, of course, once caught, the crime will be punished because it is indeed a crime. Legalizing it will turn your company into some kind of, I don't know how to describe it in words, but it's never a good environment to make theft acceptable. But I believe you should always major on the majors and minor on the minors, because swapping that would cost you money, cost you headache, time, and energy. Similarly, I have this company that manages rental properties. Trying to involve myself with car maintenance, how much they spent on fuel, how much they spent on diesel, all of this would bog down my productivity. There are far more important things to do. Still on the subject, in fact, the logical solution would be to hire a mechanic to bring it in-house, the maintenance, bring it in-house. Unfortunately, the problem with that is the mechanic can conspire with the tops and become part of the fraud, which is very bad for you, because you think you solved the problems, all you did was make it worse, because now there is no way you can trace it from. So major on the majors, minor on the minors. Although complete negligence on that aspect can lead to scams and large scams from that avenue. So the best thing you need to do is to be measured in your approach. Like I said, a complete negligence on that platform, it can be used as a tool to procure large scams, large kind of frauds. So the best thing you need to do, be measured in your approach. The solution though, I met up with a very big guy who owns a transportation company. In fact, very long story. It was very difficult to get him in a room. I ended up settling for a Zoom call. Now, this was years ago, too big now. So I settled with a Zoom call with this man and I asked him, how is it possible to maintain such a large platform? What's the measuring process like? Because obviously, the drivers can use the fuel and maintenance as a tool for scams. So, how do you solve that? He went into an in depth explanation of how fuel is measured via kilometers and how it's measured if the air condition is turned up. And they also create excesses for pauses, traffic, things of that sort. So he went into a great explanation of how these things works. Unfortunately, there was variation between his value system and I, because his structure, the drivers own the vehicles. So it was kind of a hire purchase system converse to mine, which the company owns the vehicles. So the drivers essentially were working for themselves, and it's very difficult for you to tarnish a vehicle that belongs to you, although it doesn't ignore the cost of trying to pull out maintenance scams. Do you understand the point? So it was an interesting conversation. So the point I'm trying to highlight now is the first thing you need to do is to optimize for retaining price. First, optimize for retaining price before moving up to total security. Trying to go from zero to hero will end up fatal, because the knowledge that should act as the shoulders of giants you stand upon doesn't exist. So it's a brutal way to start. That's my advice. That's my take on the subject. And as always, my friends, a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.